Business is blooming delicately these days in parts of the Territory economy.
We opened in the middle of COVID around June and then opened this store at Gateway about 5-6 weeks ago. So it's been incredibly successful in a time where everybody else is I suppose, experienced downturn.
The bounce back has been better for some than others. For those battered in the Territory's economic crisis pre-COVID, it's perhaps still too soon to say if this is the comeback capital.
I'm confident the town will turn, but it's taking definitely a little bit longer than we thought originally.
In a budget light on headline spending announcements, the government's spruiking the help it is giving the tourism sector. Yet another round of vouchers could see more locals on the road with small ventures like this Larapinta trekking guide in Alice Springs.
All businesses have suffered, and I think it's great that the government can contribute to try and ease a little of the burden.
The tourism grants and help finding hospitality staff aim to keep doors open this dry and next wet. But some in line to benefit say their biggest cost remains crime.
We're hearing people interstate saying to fuel up and keep going, so that's a bit disheartening to hear. Through people that don't live here, and obviously some of the press around the negative stuff that's happening is getting out.
To that, Labor says there's the boost in funding for police. For most other departments, there's a one-year budget freeze, delivering $10 million in savings. Welfare groups are worried about the baseline funding for domestic violence and homelessness services and say they expected dollar commitments this budget for the Aboriginal Justice Agreement, a plan to reduce reoffending and incarceration rates that the government says it's still yet to approve.
And we have heard from those community leaders and families about what is needed. And to open up the budget papers today and see that there is no significant funding there has been an absolute disappointment.
Unions are still pushing back against a freeze on wages that the government says will save jobs. The private sector says the belt tightening has to happen.
I like some of those changes that have been talked about today. We yet to see the full detail, but if CEOs are held accountable for their performance, I think that's a positive.
At this half-finished apartment block, stalled since finance was pulled 5 years ago, the cranes stood waiting for an economic recovery and better foundations for the future. Another long-running Territory business watching to see if it's time to call it a comeback.
Not just quite yet, getting very close, I think, but just it'd be good to see just a bit more continuity, just to keep it constant for a little bit longer.
Jacqueline, Breen, ABC News.